What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for March 23rd, 2026. 4.7 has a ton of changes this week, and it's iterating very fast. With that, mining has changed massively again, and there are a few exciting ships coming. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first Week in Review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, where I always enjoy seeing you guys over there. And again, no sponsors this week, so feel free to support in any way you like. But the best ways are to simply just enjoy the video, like, and comment on it. And yeah, if you're new here and you end up liking what I threw together, consider subscribing. But with that, let's get into the patch notes. All right, and we start out on Monday with a 4.7 open PTU, and yeah, Rockbreaker updates. Of course, they're doing general polish like they have been, but they also added a kill zone with the rock if you try to hide there to catch someone. They also increased the number of ceruleum rocks within the asteroid, which basically people would assume increases the number of rolls you have to get a good one, but anybody knows that's not how probabilities work. So yeah, it just means that you'll reach the average that CIG wants you to earn in fewer Rockbreaker runs, potentially. The crafting, they moved fabricators to Kelto and Dumpers Depot instead of refineries. My guess is to make this closer to our hangars, but they end up changing that back later in the week. They also said they are testing BP persistence. So any blueprint you earn here should be in the next patch. And I can confirm this worked, as this was the next patch. And there's my Antium BP from the day before. For a controversial change, they made a large increase to doors, ramp, and elevator health. The biggest one everyone is freaking out at this point is the Idris doors have 1 million HP. 1 million HP, that's not an exaggeration. That's stupid. We all know it is, but there were more changes later in the week, so hold off on comments with that. They also added radars to the shops, they said, but it didn't make it in this patch, and a lot of people are just kind of curious about these radars and how they differ and want to test it, but it's not really possible at the moment. Tuesday, we had a 4.7 open PTU, and as per usual, they're still working on Rockbreaker stuff. The main highlight here is they want us to find legendary loot boxes more often. I assume that means the orange one, and they want to limit how many FPS AI can spawn in a spawn closet. Can they do that at the ASD locations? That would be great. And then, yeah, some minor changes to the crafting UI. Wednesday, there's some seemingly small but extremely impactful changes in this patch. The first one is inventory, and visually, this takes things to another level. Lighting on the icons looks a lot better, but I will always take the time to remind everyone of this. When they announced this, I think we all expected them to address the functionality a lot more in the inventory stuff. Massive props for stack all buttons and search, of course, but I can only hope that they continue working on this and fix the actual root causes of a lot of the caching issues we have and other problems, right? Then for mining, this kind of changes everything again. There are two versions of the same mineral in rocks now. So quality, one of them, the quality is guaranteed to have 500 or higher, and just a very small amount of that. And then there's a low quality portion of that mineral, giving an example on screen here, that it's much more abundant. Look at the amounts that are there, right? This makes it so we can find mineable ore more often, but there's just less of it. And by mineable, I mean the stuff that you want to take and craft with. So this kind of solves that problem with scanning too much and not mining enough. But just, we looked in the game files, there is a very small chance to find 800 plus quality stuff. So that's going to kind of force you to want to undock and search for things. And there's constantly going to be this desire to find better and more of that better, right? So this is probably good, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Thursday, 4.7 open PTU. Again, huge update here for Rockbreaker, as you cannot set spawn at the medical facility, no matter if it's an exclusive location or not. It opens up issues where players can just backspace and kill you at your exclusive Rockbreaker that you paid 850k for. Not really okay. There's so many ships that have med beds now. Just bring one if you're going to complain about this. That's stupid. Next is a slight improvement to the icons in the new inventory UI, but don't worry, guys. Again, no bug fixes there for those. Speaking of bugs, this was a bug fix heavy patch. A lot of ones of bugs are being potentially squashed, like the star map issues. Flicker is now gone, and you could search locations as well without issue. This was a huge had to go before they went live. I'm hoping this fix for essentially a dupe to gems is fixed. If it doesn't, it breaks a good portion of the work they're doing in this PTU cycle. And then this last one, I can confirm, is not fixed. It started off well with the airlock actually opening at a contested zone for me, and then when I tried to go back, it was stuck. Also, the entire CZ had 0 loot and NPCs inside, so that's not good. Kind of tired of the previous content that we enjoy not working in the next patches. Oh, and detaching and redetaching mole bags works now as well. And then Friday, we had a 4.7 open PTU, and after an exploit where you can kind of buy all the materials for very cheap at a location, build a P4AR, and farm it over and over again for an endless money loop, the economy team made it so crafted guns sell for nearly nothing to NPCs. I then alluded to this earlier, but they made an update to the armor changes. I was able to breach, or not able to breach, a Polaris door with full armor with FPS weapons or size 1 ship repeaters, which is understandable, but I sure could with size 1 cannons. Also, ship armor affects the interior doors as well. So when the armor was low, I could open locked doors. I could not open them with the pulverizer here when they were locked, and yeah, just one boob tube with full ammo does the trick as well. Lastly, the top bug on the bug list says they got some radars in the shops, potentially. I haven't checked that yet. Hopefully it works. And with that, we did have an ISC this week, but it's a pretty quick one, so let's get into video updates. All right, I would say this was a pretty typical patch video. If you follow this channel, you would know a lot about what the talking points in the episode were. I would just kind of want to briefly touch on each one. They think the highlight content of this patch is Rockbreaker, which we first saw at CitizenCon, and it's basically a PvE exclusive version of Hathor with cooler puzzles, I think, but the PvP version of the location has not changed as far as I'm aware in terms of the rewards, so it's just a lower entry fee for now. I think they want to see what like the player economy does and let it go live and then make changes for that. And you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Then the highlight of the patch for me was crafting, of course. And this is just insanely tier 0, obviously. So I can understand that they actually respect the fact that they aren't I respect the fact that they aren't overhyping it. But I will absolutely say that it is, tying mining together with crafting and building ammo and weapons and armor production, which so far has been really fun, and I'm excited for it. So I don't want to overhype it either, but I'm having a great time. They also showed an outdated version of the inventory change, which again has essentially all the same bugs. So yeah, just mostly a visual change with a few small quality of life updates for now. Armor changes are next, which are massively swinging all over the place, as we showed earlier, but the intention is to prevent lower strength weapons from damaging bigger ship armors. We did a podcast with Virgil on the Answer the Call channel discussing this. If you want more opinions, check that out. Outside of that, they've not nailed this down at all. And lastly, there are new factions at the QV stations, which are super cool. New rest stop stations and nicks, armors that they want to sell you, and small salvage mission updates. And then for clips, I actually want to cut out for you, Jared lays out the post-launch plans for 4.7.
The story of Alpha 4.7 doesn't end with its intended release next week. That's because there are still several point patch content drops between now and Alpha 4.8 in May, including Alpha 4.7.
Point 1. He means 471.
Which is about 2 weeks after that, with the newly redesigned Hull B, which we'll reveal in about 2 weeks. Oh. The Grey Cat UTV, which we can show you now. Yay! Hey, little guy. The Captains of Industry promotion, which sees the return of many cargo, mining, salvage vehicles, and more. And then in 4.7.2, about 2 weeks after that, that's where Nyx expands once again with a whole host of new missions, including the return of courier and delivery assignments, bombing runs, and those delightful destroy item engagements as they all come into play using the rockless breaker stations that we talked about before.
So yeah, the Hull B is coming in 2 weeks, which is one of the most exciting ships for me. I wonder if the new mission set in a few weeks will have new blueprints with them, but the big thing here is the point patch comments for me. If this means what I think it means, they have a lot of work to do around LTP or crafting in 4.7. We will not be getting the best experience because most items do not retain their quality between patches at the moment. So there's a lot to go on there. And then we get a sneak peek at an upcoming ship.
And before we go, there's one more thing that we can show you coming to Alpha 4.7 next week. Yeah, but we can only do it super quickly because we're jerks. You could say a new star for spaceflight arrives in Alpha 4.7. Come on back next week to find out more.
All right, I think we're all assuming this is the new Aurora, and I'm not sure how I feel about that and what limited bit we saw, because yeah, it just kind of doesn't look like an Aurora for me, for what I can tell. I don't know. And we get a bit of more additional information potentially on that coming up in other updates. So let's get to that and check it out. All right, and starting out with a sneak peek, I have a pretty crazy idea here. This might be a hint that there's a modular Aurora. I can't tell what each module is, so any guesses in the comments would be awesome. But given the apparent size, it kind of feels like that. Honestly, I wasn't sure about the idea of a Mark II Aurora, but if this is what their idea is, I might kind of be here for it. I'm a big fan of the Aurora, and I just want to see them do it justice for the next version, and we'll see if they do. Then we have some dev posts, new flight model tests. So to my surprise, Yogi let us know that they've been doing focus groups with other players on the new flight model. No leaks from what I could be aware of, but I assumed they were dead because there were no leaks. That's awesome, but it does appear to be very much alive. Then Jared hints at another ship. Just to let you know, maybe this was coming down the ship pipeline, but Jared has now hinted 2 times at this, that we will see a laser beam Hammerhead. Still don't know what to think about that, or to just think about how Jared doesn't comment much on the game at all, only the marketing stuff, and it's just like, ugh. Alliance Aid Fabricator, again, if you got the Alliance Aid Fabricator, it's not going to be in 4.7, it's going to be in 4.8, and again, if you haven't heard, there's a 4.7.1 and a 4.7.2, so it's going to be a couple patches before you get this thing. And yeah, that's our show for this week. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Pretty short week, just mostly focused on 4.7 patches. Next week, for sure, we're going to see that new ship, and we're going to release 4.7, so it'll probably be fairly quiet as well, but also just, you know, the gold rush that we'll be mining and looking for high-quality material. So I'm looking forward to that. And if you're looking forward to more Weeks in Review, get subscribed here, and yeah, like the video, comment, all that stuff. And with that, guys, I'll catch you all next week.